90210, you're talking about how people hate it when you're honest.
Yeah.
So what happened to you, or what made you realize that that was the case for you?
Being a rapper, like you got homies that want to get on songs with you just because they're your homie, and if you tell them like, nah, bro, like I'm not gonna do no song with you just because you the homie, or you gotta pay for that. You know what I mean? Oh, Trizz, let me get a shirt. Go on Trizz online and get it. It's like when you be honest, they want to stop supporting. They want to stop picking up the phone when you call now. Like, oh man, Trizz, can I come backstage? Like, bro, you gotta buy a ticket. I'm not that big. If you buy a ticket, it supports the door, and I get paid off of that. Like, so like they don't want to hear that, and like anybody that's coming up, you know what I mean? Like, and trying to be successful, they'll notice that. It's like when you start to be honest with your peers about what's going on, like this is a business. This is not free. I got lights. I got, I just got married. I need money. I need to pay for stuff around my crib. Like California is not cheap. So like I have to be honest with the homies and even my family. You know what I mean? I get people that like want to borrow money from me all the time. Like, no, I don't have it. Just because you see it's cracking like that, it's not cracking like that. You know what I mean? I still got to be out here hustling and grinding. And so like, that's what I mean by that, man. You just cannot be honest with people and they just accept what it is. Or when a homie like is rapping and you tell them like, this ain't it, brother. You just rapping just to rap. That shit is trash. Like you can't be honest with people because they just don't receive it well. Straight up.
Yeah, that's a cold reality a lot of people got to deal with. And also on Shit Don't Stop, you mentioned how you got your drive and ambition from your mom.
Yeah.
So what I want you to break that down. Like, what are some of the things that you did see and learn from her?
Well, my mom has never been unemployed since she got a job when she was 14. There's been rough patches in our life where she had to stretch her dollar, but like my mom has always supported my independency too. Like she's always like, oh, you want to be a rapper? All right, well, you better be the best damn rapper there is. What, you need a microphone? All right, I'm gonna go get you one. Do you need this? Boom, bam, boom. Like my mom was always like, she never was like, you need to go get a job, this, that, and the third. Like I've only had like 2 or 3 jobs in my life, and like they didn't last more than a month. I either got fired, laid off, or I stopped going. Like I completed school, you know what I mean? My mom said, you gonna graduate, but it's up to you if you want to go to college. What do you want to do after high school? I want to rap. I have been rapping while I was in high school, so she had already knew, you know what I mean? Like, so, and then my mom, she on childcare, she had a pager shop, she had multiple businesses. Like she flips houses even still now. She's been working at Kaiser for 30 some odd years. Still to this day, you know what I mean? Like, and selling houses. Like, so I've always seen that in my house. Like I said, I seen my mom touch $1 million. Like I remember like us first going to go buy a house and like, I get everything I wanted. You know what I mean? Birthday, my dad too, not just my mom, my dad too. My dad's a hustler. You feel me? My dad was doing the same thing. Like he had a auto shop, like a audio shop, a car audio shop that he was running in Long Beach. So like, I've always seen just hustle in my family. And I just always knew I wasn't going to work for nobody. Like I was like, that's never going to happen. I don't take kind of orders. I'd rather be homeless and try to figure out my next meal than work for anybody. And that's why I'm independent. And that's how I got that line. Like, I got my drive and determination from my mom. Straight up.
Now, 7, Michael Summers, I wanted you to break down throughout Baseline Cavi, a lot of the production, especially on the second half of the album, is very smooth, mellow, and laid back. And one of my favorites of that was the Summer Break song. So given that Trizz, in the beginning of the album with Baseline Cavi to Inland, Keep It a Buck, it's a lot more muscular, in your face, aggressive. How did you, sequencing wise, lay out the album in the manner that you did?
Well, a lot of the second half of the album was actually the first like version of the album that we worked. That was sort of like where we were headed. Songs like Hollywood, oh Hollywood, and even like Bless the Dead, Crash, like all the songs like on the second half was where we started. Summer Break was the turning point. That was the song when it was like, when we made that, Trizz was kind of like, we kind of like, where do we want to go next? And that was the DJ Quick conversation. That's what Summer Break was, and that's what came from that. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm like that's a sound that's like one of my key sounds. You know what I mean? I've never had an artist that could like wanted to do it or is capable of like authentically like pulling that off. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, say less. You want to do that? We made Summer Break, and then everything that followed Summer Break became the other half of the album. You know, which was that's when we opened up the doors to like everything. You know, like the Front Yard, the Inland, Shit Don't Stop, that that classic summertime LA sound, you know, came after Summer Break, and you know, Trizz sequenced the album. You know, he came up with the sequence, sent it to me. I was like, let's move like a couple things around, you know, make sure that we have like, you know, so it just feels like, you know what I mean, like especially at the top or whatever that we, you know. Like, you know, we take you through like a summertime journey on the front half of the album. And that was kind of it. It all just came together like very smooth and without really any like, you know, hurdles or anything. It just all felt like super natural, you know.
Okay. And with the Front Yard, Seven mentioned that one of the Trizz, I wanted you to speak about how you're talking about how brothers are dying and nobody wants to fix it. So one of the things that I enjoyed throughout Baseline Cavi was the social commentary that's in there and sprinkled throughout the project.
Yeah.
But to address something, you know, sadly, we do have a lot of people getting killed, robbed, all that stuff. And it seems like that's only escalating.
Yeah.
But you on the Front Yard talk about how nobody wants to fix it. So what makes you look at it that way, and what can we do to fix things?
Honestly, I seen a lot of death in my time. You know, I'm 30 years old, so I seen it, family members, friends, and all of that, violence and all of that type of stuff. And like, it just seems like we dig ourselves a deeper hole with the whole like no snitching code, which I agree with, but it's sad. Also, like, you know, people not wanting to bow down, or pride gets in the way. So pride is if you look at the common denominator, anything violent, it all comes down to pride. You know what I mean? Like, somebody cheated, you know what I mean? Oh, damn, I can't let them cheat on me. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Somebody talked about you on a record, you know what I mean? Like, certain stuff. That's why I don't do diss records. Like, I'm totally against that. I don't diss anybody in my music. I may get subliminal, like you may hear me mention like, oh yeah, the homie did me like this, but you'll never hear me say their name. And people can call that, oh, you soft, you scary for not. But nah, it's just, I don't want to put that into the air. That's why, like, I pray for Chicago, I pray for LA, I pray for like any like city that's going through that, because like that's like it's detrimental to like the hip hop world. If you think of it, if you look at hip hop and you look at all the other genres, what other genre is doing that? Nobody is like getting shot every week. You know what I mean? Nobody's making diss records. Could you imagine if in R&B and rock and roll they was making if Metallica was dissing, you know what I mean, whoever? That would just seem crazy. And I just feel like hip hop is so young. It's what, 40 something years? It's like 40 years old right now. It's like, it's still a young genre. So it's like, but what can we do about it? Like I said, like, swallow your pride, man. Like, I tell my homies all the time, like, focus on what you're trying to do, bro. Like, that's why I'm always in the studio. I'm always working. I'm always writing. You know what I mean? Talk to somebody, man. Like, it ain't soft to talk to your homeboys about what you're going through. You know, a lot of it is mental health too. That's why, like I said earlier, like I went to therapy. I've done group sessions and stuff like that. Like, I didn't had anger problems and getting mad, and I just got married. So like, I'm practicing patience. Like, you know what I mean? Like, patience is another way we can fix that. So yeah, man, that's where that comes from.
Okay. And I think in the second half of Baseline Cavi is probably my favorite, because when you get the stimulus package, Headed Stepchild, and Blessed the Dead is probably my favorite three in a row.
Yeah.
So Seven, I wanted you to break down with stimulus package. That's probably my favorite beat on the album.
Oh, wow.
So that one is slower. It's got guitar, and it just is.
Yeah.
I just think that one's amazing. So what was the genesis of that, and why you and Trizz decided to want to use it?
That was actually the very first like song we did, period. Like, that was the first like beat. That was like from the first like batch of, that's when we were like, that was the song that I got back, that I heard, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. That the stimulus package was the one. And that was like the very first record that we got done. It was like a demo for the longest, you know what I mean? I was like, it just ended up as the album progressed, it ended up being like a really strong song. I just kept coming back to it, But when I made that beat, I wasn't like in the mind state of like, let me make like a West Coast like record or like really anything. I was just like sort of like making a track. But then when I heard Trizz on it, it was like apparent to me that this is like some West Coast shit for real. Like it made me see the beat like in a different light. You know what I mean? It really like made me see like the future of how like what me and Trizz could do together with the project, So that song ended up becoming like a superstar. I was actually, when we were trying to figure out what song do we want to drop as a first single, that was going to be it. But at the last minute, we chose to flip it and go with Keep It a Buck instead. But like that was very close to just being like the first single that we dropped. But so it's like a very special song on the album, but it's like it's right in the middle of the album, and that was like that's sort of like where the album shifts. You can kind of like, to me at least, I can kind of tell, sound wise, that stuff like in that area of the songs that you like the most were some of the beats that we did like right off top, right at the beginning of the album.
Yeah. And Redheaded Stepchild, I'd say, is the most like eerie beat or what have you. But Trizz, I wanted you to break down, because a lot of rap, especially popular rap, has evolved into doing drugs and being depressed and all this other stuff. And you talk about being stressed out, but the difference is you're saying about trying to find a way out and get better and like improve things.
Yeah.
So how did you go from acknowledging this frustration, but then also telling people like, yo, I'm trying to get past this, I'm trying to do better? Why was that significant to you?
Well, like the first thing, like trying to, help or trying to, fix mental health is like looking in the mirror and saying like, okay, like blaming everybody else is one of the main causes. I had to like look at myself like, okay, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like, why am I the one that's feeling left out? Because that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm always the last to get picked on the team. Like I just always feel left out. So it's like, you know what, I can twist this and like I can wear this, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm different. I'm not like everybody else, you know what I mean? I'm the alien, and I'm okay with that, you know what I mean? Because it puts a spotlight on what I can do, what I'm talented at, you know what I mean? I want to share that with other people. Like I tell people in my class, biz with Trizz, like, you know what I mean? Be yourself. It's nobody that could be you. Like that's what makes you you. That's what makes you special. You know what I mean? So Redheaded Stepchild is like, it's a real like eerie record, but it's also like it's therapy for me, like letting everybody know, like, look, man, I'm okay with this. I'll wear this. Whatever, you don't like me, cool. This is how it's rocking. You can just rock with it or don't rock with it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a middle finger in a way, you know?
Well, that ties into Keep It a Buck when you were talking about being a unicorn in the flesh, missing a few screws.
Yeah, on the real. Yeah, I'm just different. Yeah.
Yeah. And then speaking of different, one of the things I appreciated about Bless the Dead was the sobering reality that you guys depict. And TF has a very chilling line of seeing somebody bleed out, but since that's not going to affect his bank account, he's got to keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to address the, violence is so glorified in our society, but I think you guys did a great job of looking at, as we reference Ice Cube, like Dead Homies did, that he did back in the day, is a really sobering look at the aftermath and the people around the death of what's happening. So as you guys were making Bless the Dead, Trizz, how did you guys discuss approaching all that lyrically?
Well, when I played the beat for TF got it started. He laid his shit like really fast, wrote it real fast. And when he said the pavement line, seeing homies bleed out on the pavement, it made me think of my cousin. My cousin was killed in 2007 when I was 15. And I remember the police saying, like, if we had got there in time, he probably would have survived. So like when he said, it took a while for the ambulance to come, I'm like, that's real shit. And it made me like just go into that. And so like the first 8 bars, I'm speaking from my cousin's point of view. Like, you know, turn down the back street. That's when the homie blasted me. I'm talking about my cousin. Like that he got shot by his homie. You know what I mean? And it's like that. It was just surreal when he said that. It gave me the chills. You know, I didn't get sad or nothing. I was just like, ooh, that's so real. You feel me? And that's why I brought in Ice Cold Bishop. I was like, Bishop really embodies that street shit too. Like he speaks from a point of view of like watching it all happen. And the same with Bell. And the thing with Bell that happened that I talked about at the listening party, him getting shot 28 times, he really can relate to it. So that record, I think that was the last one we finished. If I'm not mistaken, it probably was Bless the Dead and like one other record, but that was the last one we finished because we were trying to get it so right because it was so delicate and it was a lot to talk about on the record.
Yeah, that's powerful. And that's definitely one of my favorite songs because I think all of you in different ways brought a very chilling and powerful and sobering perspective to that topic.
And I want you to listen real close to me. I'm going to ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You said that you couldn't have possibly been at the crime scene at 11:15 because you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and my hardcover book at 11:15 when the crime scene occurred in Soren's book.
The history of gangster rap.
So you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying the books.
Right. At 11:15, I was at the bookstore at 11:15, and when I bought the books and accidentally left them at the store.
So at 11:15, you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying books, right?
At 11:15, when I was leaving, it was some people coming in, and I forgot to grab.
But you don't remember who
what they look
people,
like.
what they look like or nothing, right?
No.
So, at 12:15, you in the bookstore buying my audio book and hardcover book and Soren's book at 12:15. So you couldn't have been at the scene because you were buying the books, right?
Yeah, at 12 exactly. At 12:15 exactly, I was at the bookstore.
Now you see. You know you done fucked up.
Which
No, first you said you were at the bookstore at 11:15, and then you said it was 12:15. You know you done fucked up, man.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up. He fucked up.
Man, you confusing me, man.
So, you get my book, my audio book, 40 years in Soren's book, History of Gangster Rap, and if you don't, you know you done fucked up, right?
Man, the more those cops ask me questions, the more I wish I bought them motherfucking books.